Stampers, it's Jackie Ballheis from Clomp Stampers. Today, I have a lot to teach you. One of the questions I get asked all the time is, where do you find ideas for making cards? A lot of my team members, when I recently kind of did a poll with them, I said, what's your biggest struggle as a demonstrator? And overwhelmingly, they say, finding ideas. So I thought that was the perfect topic for today's video. We're going to make a really cute card. I think it's really cute, but I'm going to show you the progression as to where I got the idea from the card and how I took an idea and changed it and made it my own. So this is something I do a lot, and I think, over the next couple months, I want to share different places I find my ideas and how I make them myself to teach you. So today's not necessarily about the card I'm making, but more to show you the process and where you can find ideas for your own card making. Great tips for those of you that are brand new stampers or those that have been stamping for a long time and sometimes struggle coming up with your own ideas. How's that sound? You ready to learn some things today? I hope so, because I have a lot to share with you. So let's go ahead and flip this camera down and let's get started. So you're ready to dive in and figure out just how to find ideas for making your own cards. So the stamp set we're focusing on is Simply Fabulous. So I purchased this a long time ago. I thought it was cute, pulled it off my shelf today to stamp with it, and I was kind of stuck for ideas. Where do I even start? So the first place I tend to go is the Stampin' Up! Catalog. It is filled with card making ideas. So I found the stamp set in here, it's right there, and I started looking at the samples they have with it. Now don't forget, they always have samples on the pages, but when you go back in the back, there's lots of samples where they show the bundles and, throughout all the pages. So sometimes you'll find, samples for different stamp sets scattered, but you can almost always find them on the page. So I started looking over here and I looked at what they did with it. I wanted to make my card pretty simple because that's the way I stamp. So this is the one that caught my eye. I thought, well, let's start there. Let's make a card just like that one. Let's copy it. I think growing up, we were always told copying is bad. You'll get in trouble if you copy. I am here to tell you it is okay to copy in the world of card making. That's why Stampin' Up! Shares ideas. That's why I share ideas. You are absolutely free and welcome to copy any of the ideas that I share or that are in this catalog, or for that matter, other places you find them online. Not every card you make has to be an absolute original from scratch. So let's take a look at this. I first looked at it and thought, wonder what colors they used. Well, did you know that Stampin' Up! Has a PDF that you can download that tells you all the products that are used for every single sample in the catalog? Now, I do have it over on my website, so you can easily go over there and save it to your computer or even print it if you want. Now, down in the description of this video, you will find a link to a blog post. That's going to be a very important blog post, because on that blog post, I'm going to share all the color supplies, pictures of what I shared with you today, as well as the link to that download, plus a couple other downloads, because we're going to use a lot of tools today. And so follow the link in the blog post, or follow the link in the description of the video to the blog post, and you're going to find everything we talk about today. So first thing I did is I went to that document and I said, on page 40 of the catalog, I found that card and I said, what colors did they use? And that document told me it was Granny Apple Green, Coastal Cabana, Sweet Sorbet, and Calypso Coral. Now, I would have never put those two colors together. These I like. These are favorites. I like these, but throw that in. But I'm like, I like that card. So we're going to go with this. So the next thing I did, let's see, actually I kept my catalog open, but I took these ink pads and I made pretty much the exact same card that Stampin' Up! Had in the catalog. It was on a note card, and I knew that again from that PDF, and I was able to just look at that catalog and copy. And so I did that. Now, quite often when I'm creating with a new stamp set, this is where I start. But then I like to make it a little bit of my own. And so what I did is I just cut a layer. I mean, this card you'll probably recognize as a real general format that I use for many cards. It's a SIP card, stamp, ink, and paper. But I took Stampin' Up's design, I just layered it, put a little black behind it, did my greeting in black instead of in the Calypso Coral, used a note card and envelope still, and there we go. I really like my card. Now I like this one too, but stepping it up a little bit and making it a little bit of, more my style was super easy by following that example in the catalog. Now, setting this aside, I decided it was time to even venture out and make it more of my own, more my style. Or maybe for you, you looked at that and you thought, well, I don't have those inks. I don't have Sweet Sorbet or Calypso Coral. Now what do I do? So what I decided to do is use different colors. So the first color I picked, I wanted to have kind of a purple tone. So I picked Highland Heather. And I thought, I really need two different colors for the flowers because I think that's part of the beauty of this design. So what color goes with Highland Heather? Well, I pulled out another resource of mine that I use all the time, and that's my Color Coach. This here is such a valuable tool. And again, I will have a link on the blog post that will direct you to where you can find all of these to download them. Now you can put them in a binder if you want. I cut them all apart and layered them on the colored cardstock. So it's real easy for me to see all those colors. Then I went a little crazy and I laminated and put it on a ring. So valuable tool again for all crafters. So what I did is we knew we wanted Highland Heather. So I found my Highland Heather page and I'm like, look at some of the fun color combinations they suggest. Well, this one caught my eye right away. So I grabbed Melon Mambo and Pumpkin Pie. So there's my main colors. Now, because we're doing flowers, we need a green. So I brought in Granny Apple Green, which is kind of my go-to, especially with bright colors. So there's the color palette for the card that we're going to make today. So for the card, I'm basically going to follow the same layout idea. We're just going to add a little bit to it and change the colors. So rather than stamping that greeting directly on the layer or on the note card like the original one, I'm going to stamp it on a piece of scrap paper and then I'm going to use a punch to cut it out. This is going to allow me to pop it up with dimensionals. I thought this needed a little bit more dimension than we were getting. So there is going to be the greeting. We'll set that stuff aside. And then here is my layer that I'm going to stamp on. Now, let's just kind of, why don't we put this right here because you'll see how I'm following this as my idea. So this would be about right there. We're going to pop it up when we're done. But I need that as kind of a guide for stamping my flowers. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to start with that Melon Mambo. And we're going to do 3 of them, kind of similar style. And then we're going to go ahead and clean the stamp. But before we go ahead and put the Highland Heather ones, let's go ahead and stick some of the leaves on here. I found when I was doing this card, I did a little bit better if I put these leaves on before I went to the next color of flowers. That way I made sure I had enough space because otherwise you kind of start stamping things. It's like, oops, no room. Okay, so there's that. Now let's go to that Highland Heather and we need one over there. We need one up here and one right there. So again, same general layout. Let's grab our leaves. Now I'm kind of talking a lot as I make this card, but you know what? It is such an easy card. It truly only took me, less than 5 minutes probably to make the card when I just sat down to make it. Okay, so let's just envision this. This is going to go right there. So we kind of have that same thing going. Then we need the centers of our flower. So this is where we're going to pull in that pumpkin pie, which was one of the colors that was recommended from that color coach. So let's just stick those in the center of each one, like so. And then if you notice here, you'll see how there's lighter shades of that same flower just to kind of fill in that white space. So to do that, I used that same pumpkin pie, but I actually stamped it twice on my scrap paper. Usually I stamp things, on scrap paper just once to lighten it, but I felt this color was pretty dark and I needed, to do it twice. So let's just get all these dots on here. Now, make sure when you, Make sure when you visit my website, you also sign up for my email newsletter, because I do send a newsletter once a week, keeping you up to date. But I also in there share 2 or 3 different card tutorials with you that you can print out, step-by-step instructions for all kinds of fun cards. So make sure you sign up for that email newsletter. You'll find that over on the website too. So that's kind of like, go over there for everything. Alrighty, there we go. We are getting there. That's gonna go there like so. But let's go ahead and stick our black layer behind that. If you've been following me for a while, you know that I like to use black. I use a lot of black layers, especially with bright colors. I feel like it really just makes everything shine. So let's just stick that down on there. And then, because we're gonna kind of step this up a little bit from that sample in the catalog, we're gonna go ahead, oops, I had some ink on my hands. You know what, not gonna matter because it's gonna cover it up. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and put some linen thread on here. So I just kind of estimate how much I need to tie a bow. I like to double it and then trim it off. And we'll just wrap this around like so. And we're going to have this bow go way over to that left edge. Whoops. You'll notice I'm tying my bow upside down. I have had the best luck doing it upside down. I feel like the tails tend to easier, I guess, go down. So that's just maybe a little bow tying tip if you struggle. And then after I tie it, I bring it to the front and I kind of play around a little bit. I like to make one of those loops a little smaller than the other. That looks pretty good. And then we can trim this off. There we go. Okay, we're going to go ahead and use dimensionals on the back of our greeting here. And I'm going to kind of put them on the top and the bottom so that it's going to straddle that linen thread there. Make everything stick nice and good. So let's see. And we're going to have to, you know what, let's slide this down just a little bit here because we want to make sure we cover up our little boo-boo there. There we go. Do you see the similarity and where I'm going with this? And, you know, remember, this is all about sharing with you ideas and how to find, ideas for finding ideas, I guess. That sounds kind of funny. But I started with using the catalog and I copied that. And then I made it my own by, adding a little bit of layering on there. But then I kind of ventured out and I changed the colors. I added that linen thread. I added some little embellishments. And then this one we're going to put onto a crumb cake card base because I love crumb cake with these colors. And we're going to pop this one up with dimensionals as well. So let's stick a whole bunch of these on here. It's a pretty big layer, so that calls for quite a few dimensionals. Let's pull those off. And let's see, we are almost done here. There we go. Let's not put it on upside down. And we'll stick that on there. And then I do have an inside that I already stamped just to save time a little bit here. But I used another stamp just saying hello, added some flowers, and look at that. We'll be able to stick that in there, and there is our card. So let's just recap here a little bit. I had a stamp set, didn't know what to do with it. Pulled out my catalog, found this card. I copied it exactly from the catalog using that resource guide. Then made it my own a little bit by cutting a couple of layers, which I like to do. That's kind of my style. But then I used that color coach and was able to make a really pretty card. And it all started from that idea in the Stampin' Up! Catalog. So don't be afraid to copy. Use the Stampin' Up! Catalog. I save all my past ones. Sometimes I'll pull out a stamp set that's maybe been around for a couple of years, and I'll go back through every single catalog because there's new samples each time. So you have so many ideas for every stamp set that you purchase. I hope this was helpful for you, and I hope you try copying the catalog to be inspired for making your own cards. Make sure to check out that blog post for more details, where to find the guide that tells you what products Stampin' Up! Used on their samples, as well as the color coach. and then pictures of my cards and all the supplies that I used. So again, make sure to leave us a comment, reach out, let me know if I can help you in any way. We are here to help you make card making a fun hobby and for you to be successful so that you can pop cards in the mail to bless family and friends. So we'll be stamping again real soon. Have a stamp happy day.